Show to you that is hopefully fast-paced and exciting. There's a lot of people that just want short-form content. This is going to be a long show, but towards the end, we're going to have a chill and chat. So that's most of the content is the chill and chat at the very end. For those of you that want quick and to the point, well, let's get right into it. So our first topic is going to be the Jaws pinball machine from Stern Pinball. This is Shark Week. There's a lot of interesting things that came out from their podcast yesterday, and even tonight, they have a video of live gameplay at 8 o'clock, which is going to be pretty exciting, so go check that out. We're going to talk about the differences of the new information that came out in the last couple days that's pretty exciting, and I took a lot of notes in there, and I want to share that with you. After that, we're going to get into kind of like a live review of the Street Fighter HS5. So I got the Deluxe machine. I ended up getting it for pretty cheap. I want to give you my thoughts on it and tell you what I think about 2024 with Arcade1up. And finally, we'll put a bow on it with chill and chat. So thank you guys for coming out and being in the chat. I see all of you. We'll talk to you in just a little bit. Go ahead. Feel free to interrupt me. Feel free to give your thoughts because we're going to be coming back to that live chat and talking about it in a little bit. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, did you know, hit 1 in the chat, did you know, hit 0 if you did not know, that the Jaws pinball machine is going to come with 3D glasses? Did anyone know that? So this is a recent information to me. I heard this on the Stern Pinball podcast that's on the insider.sternpinball.com. Keith Elwin was mentioning that in this podcast, how every single machine is going to ship with 3D glasses. And the reason why it's going to ship with 3D glasses is there's a 3D video mode. So that means, what I'm understanding is, inside the game when you're playing the mechanical pinball, there's something that's going to unlock the video mode. And then when you hit it, it all switches to a video game that's inside the actual LCD. So this was on, like, say, Star Wars. I remember playing that. It's pretty fun. You'll fly as the Millennium Falcon, and you actually use your flipper buttons to steer the ship around asteroids. It's like a little video mode. I think that's what they're talking about, something like that, because they brought in the game designer and talked about he built a video game where you are the shark and you're going through the shark water. That's the video mode. But this one is going to be in 3D. Now, I don't know exactly how they are going to do that, because, like, is every pinball arcade going to have 3D glasses? I mean, they come with it, but it's going to get stolen, or what is going to be connected to a wire? And then also, what if you don't have the 3D glasses at our arcade? So I'm imagining that when the video mode starts, it says, do you have 3D glasses? Use the left, right flipper buttons to choose yes or no. Hit the action button. And if you don't have 3D glasses, you just say no. So it's just a 2D game. One thing that was interesting about this is the guy that developed the game said he spent so much time studying 3D that he actually started having nightmares and night terrors all in stereoscopic 3D. That was an interesting tidbit. I know what that's like. If you guys know what that's like, where you have a job, you get so stressed out about it that you actually start dreaming about that stress, that's intense. So hopefully that video mode will be really cool. That's going to be unveiled next week at CES. More details of the 3D mode on Jaws is coming to CES. I'll be there. B-Kong will be there. 19K Fox will be there. Thousands of people will be there. But we're going to try to bring that content to you. Let's move to the next topic. So Jaws will ship with 3Ds. That's pretty good. The movie assets, they have all 4 movies. So it's not just Jaws 1. I know that's the picture that's on the Pro version and the LE version, but it's actually 4 Jaws movies that they have movie assets for. So as you're playing the game, you're going to see video elements from those movies, and that's pretty cool. They didn't have that for Jaws, for example. You have to mod your machine for that. There's many sound effects that are from the movie, from the original audio stems. So some may say that they got Richard Dreyfuss to do voiceover. Well, why didn't they just get Richard Dreyfuss from the movie? Why didn't they get the license for that? Well, they said they did. They actually do have the license for all the audio stems. They got all of the assets, but they said it's not all perfect. So not all the audio stems were, some audio stems were not clean. So if you don't know what stems are, that's just the individual audio tracks for a movie. Like if you go to a movie, let's say the movie's in stereo, that's only 2 channels. But if you have all the individual stem files, that means you have the dialogue just for perhaps 1 person. Or maybe that file is an audio for 2 people. Or maybe it's everyone in that shot. It kind of depends on the movie. So on this game, they said they have a lot of great things. They used a lot of sound effects for the movie are in the game. That's cool. But for example, a lot of scenes are shot on the ocean and the audio is not that great. They've masked the audio quality with the music in the background. So you can actually hear the room they're in, or you can hear the ocean, and not everything was, came perfectly. But it sounds like they did use what they can. And I don't think Richard Dreyfuss doing the voiceover was because there was a big limitation with the license or anything like that. In fact, today, we're going to turn down this background music. Today, they released a video, Stern did, on X, right? We can't say Twitter anymore. We got to say X. This is a really cool video. I'm going to play it for you. Check it out.
Harpoon ready. Barrel ready. Jackpot. Double jackpot. Triple jackpot. Super jackpot.
So cool.
Double super jackpot. Triple super jackpot.
All right, so if you don't know, so this is Keith Elwin. He's clearly looking at the script for the voiceover work that Richard Dreyfuss is in that sound booth. So there's three people in there. You got Keith Elwin, the designer of Jaws. Then you got the sound engineer who's capturing all the audio. And then you have Richard Dreyfuss, who is in the studio booth. I love seeing things like this. Like, how often do you get to see kind of a behind the scenes where, like, I was thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, they probably hired Richard Dreyfuss, and they probably hired some intermediate company to be like, hey, have him write the script. And I assumed when working with other companies, there'd be this big disconnect between the designers who want something, and then they have to kind of throw a script over a fence to some production company who's going to hire Richard Dreyfuss. He's going to go in, he's going to read the script, whatever. But here it is, they unveiled. No. Keith Elwin obviously met with Richard Dreyfuss, probably told him, like, look, you're doing voiceover for a video game, for Stern Pinball. Probably he didn't direct him very specifically. I'm sure Richard Dreyfuss knows how to do voice work better than some designer. But the point is he could probably say, what we would like to get from you is the excitement and maybe a few monotones, and because it's the video game that you're targeting. And so to have the designer, the lead designer, actually working with the voice actor, someone as famous as Richard Dreyfuss, directly, I just think that's really cool. It's really awesome. And for them to share that with us is really awesome. So kudos to them for sharing that, and that gets us really excited. The other thing you can notice is the entire script he's reading is totally video game clips, right? It's like super jackpot. It's not like he's recreating, which he may have done, recreated some of the sounds from the movie, actual dialogue. Maybe he did that. But at least in here, it's, it's just like video game, like, when you hit a shot, you need to say super jackpot, whatever. That's really cool. But on the downside, out of this game, we didn't get Rob Schneider. Rob Schneider is not in this. No, the Roy Scheider, they did not get the likeness license. And that was a new term I hadn't really thought of, where they said, they're trying to get the likeness for the license for all these people, because this is, an artist coming in and drawing these characters. So the main character, Brody, is missing from the artwork, and that's because he's no longer with us, and his estate's wishes are not to give out the likeness of him for this type of purpose. So it is what it is. If they don't want to do that, and maybe there's some reason why, maybe there's a family reason, I don't really know. Rob Schneider would have been cool. But they do show the back of him. So this is the premium machine, and this is an iconic shot, a movie clip that was recreated with the drawing, and so they don't have the license for his likeness, but they can still kind of include him in the game ever so much. And there are some clips online of the video, it's, the actual LCD showing, you can see Brody in there, but it's kind of like a long shot. So it's like you can kind of squint and see that he's there. Like, there's a third person. It just sounds like you never see like a close-up, which is sad. I hope they do, because if you look on this slide that I have, that picture, you guys remember that picture of Brody? This is a dolly shot. I remember when I was a kid and I saw this scene, and I'm sure, hit one in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Like, did you as a kid go, I know how they did that? So my brother-in-law had a video camera. This is, in the 80s. So I watched this movie, obviously, way after it came out. But he had a video camera. And when I saw the dolly shot with Brody, I was like, he's totally zooming forward while walking backwards at the same time. And I went crazy one summer trying to recreate that when I grabbed my brother-in-law's video camera and kept on doing the thing where I would zoom in and walk backwards. And later I learned that's called a dolly shot. And that shot needs to be in this game, right? Because it's like, it needs to be like you've entered a mode and boom, it's this dolly shot with the Brody going like, it's that shocked look when he realizes there's like a shark in the water. And it's probably going to be missing because they didn't get the license to use something so personal, something so close up like that in the game. So it is what it is. Some questions came up from various communities. There's a lot of pinball enthusiasts of different types. Some are collectors, some are tournament players, some are people that like to play casually, whatever. But a common one is, why doesn't Jaws eat the ball? Tell me if you've heard this one. Are you upset about Jaws not eating the ball? Well, in the podcast, they gave an answer to that. And it sounds as though a lot of the answers that they provided in the podcast were, from my assessment, were real. They were conversations with employees of Stern rehashing why decisions were made. And all of it was very detailed, saying what they did. So they said that's where they started. They wanted, just as much as anyone else, they know that's what people would expect, is they would see Jaws coming out of the playfield and it would eat the ball. So they built that. That is phase one, is what they built. But it sucked. And so I took a lot of notes. I kind of felt like I was taking meeting notes in it. So I'm going to read my meeting notes in here. It says, we built a shark that would come out of the playfield. It would intimidate the player, and it sucked. Ultimately, and this is paraphrasing definitely right here, but this is to the point. They didn't say these exact words, but this is what they were saying. Ultimately, Jaws is better with a bash toy. They phrased it differently, but that's the short version of it. But he did say, it's a shark. It's not in the sky like T-Rex would be. So they understand, this is my editorial, they understand that a fan would want that mech, and they agree until they built it. And once they played it, and this is what they said, it visually didn't look right, didn't feel right. There wasn't that moment in the game. And he said, if you have a shark under the playfield that will eat the ball, his mouth has to line up with the playfield. So therefore, 80% of the shark is under the playfield. So it was a quick no when they tried it out, played it out. And then Keith Elwin asked, what do you do after the shark is eaten the ball? It's like, where does the ball go? Well, I guess they'd have to spit it out. It's not like T-Rex where it grabs the ball, shakes it, and spits it out. That kind of makes sense with T-Rex because a T-Rex is up in the sky. He's grabbing the ball. He's going to shoot it out. But it didn't make as much sense with the shark. And he said, at that point, it's just a motorized moving scoop. And so then they decided to switch to more of a bash toy. Out of that, they get more of the actual shark coming out. And this is my editorial, it's probably a little more scarier. They said it unlocked all these things in the game they can do that makes more sense. And then it just ends up being a bash toy. So I found it interesting. I wish that they could come up, because, we all want that. And I guess they tried it and it didn't work out. But hey, I just kind of wish there's a scenario where it would work. Does it mean it has to be like, I tried to think about it. Maybe those in the audience, maybe there's fans that would come up with an idea that would work. And it just kind of sounded like with all the variables that they have, it just didn't work out. So this is what we're getting. Let's go on to the next topic. So the next one was, why not a thin target? And this was interesting. I thought about this as well. So you got this chum line. So the way the game works is you got to hit this chum bucket. And it's just like the movie. So you start with the chum bucket. Then you start to get the shark coming out. At some point, you got to grab the harpoon. Some point, you got to connect a barrel to the harpoon. And then you're going to shoot the shark. And I don't know if that's the fin. That's when you're shooting the fin. Or I don't know which order exactly. Hopefully, we'll find that out in the gameplay tonight. And then ultimately, you're going to hit Ben's boat, the Ben Gardner's boat. That's the guy that died earlier in the movie before they actually go after Jaws. So you hit that boat on the premium, and then boom, he comes out, Jaws underneath. And so I think that's kind of the overall progression. There's other things where you have to wheel him in. You get the harpoon, you got to hit the shot to wheel him in. Anyway, let's get back to the point. Why not a fin target? And it was really interesting what they said. They said they tried it. And evidently, when you turn a target like that into a fin, it turns into a ramp. And it will just fly around the playfield. It'll hit the glass. So I wrote some notes on this too. This is the moving shark fin. The moving target or roving targets has been done before, but never where they can appear anywhere along the path. So what they had to do, their challenge was to shrink the stand-up target technology to a minimum depth as possible. But they ended up using carbon fiber backer on the back of the shark fin to kind of get a good balance between the rigidity and the strength and the fact that you got to hit this thing. So here it is. Why isn't the shark fin target shaped like a shark fin? He goes, I assure you, you do not want that. That fin shape just turns into a ramp. Balls hitting the glass, flying around on the playfield, shoot straight to the upper playfield is what Keith Elwin ended up saying. Like you hit it, it ramps up and goes all over the place. So it's kind of interesting because my initial reaction was that's going to be modded. People are going to mod that and they're going to put a fin on that. But now I'm kind of backing up. Like, wait a second. If a mod came out, let's say I own this Jaws machine and the mod came out where you can turn that into a fin. Based on what I've heard, those mod designers are going to have to overcome the challenge of that not just turning into a ramp that the ball is going to fly all around. Maybe they can solve that problem and get that balance of the aesthetics looking good at the same time as, overcoming the challenge that it turns into, your ball turns into a missile, basically. But Stern couldn't crack that code. Now, again, Stern has other variables, cost and all of that, so maybe a modder can overcome that because, it's a different target market. But I thought these are the list of things that I found pretty interesting from that podcast. There's so much more. If you want to hear more about it, I recommend you go to insider.sternpinball.com. Make sure you have an account, and then you can find the podcast. You can listen to the entire podcast as a group of people. They have several employees. I want to say 4 or 5 people on the call, all taking turns talking about and answering some of these questions, and I thought it was pretty good. Finally, while we're on the topic of Jaws Pinball, I just want to kind of highlight real quick, because I'm already 18 minutes in. I didn't want to make this topic super long. There's a Pro Edition and there's a Premium Edition. Now, this is exactly what the Jaws Shark Cage is going to look like on the Pro version. That's the aesthetic. There you go. Then you have on the premium version, it's going to have the Ben Gardner boat. That's an additional mech that isn't on the Pro at all. And hidden underneath there is the motorized Jaws. Then you have on the Pro, of course, there's no upper playfield. These are kind of like the obvious things, highlights. While as the Premium, you have the entire Orca-themed upper playfield. That's a difference. There's other little subtle differences for sure, like the pop bumper is a little bit nicer on the Premium version. The shack in the back on the Premium version kind of bulges out. There's other small little differences, but those are the biggest highlights. On both of the machines, what I found really exciting is they're introducing a mini flipper that can hold the ball, and there's a number of targets that you can hit from that standpoint. It's kind of cool. They mentioned it in the podcast where they designed it that way. It'll catch the ball, it'll feed to there, and then you have a moment to think, analyze where you want to shoot, and then make your shot. And they did put that on the Pro as well, so I know a lot of tournament players that are really going to love that. That's it. That's all. That's my podcast recapping some of the most exciting things that I found as it pertains to the Stern pinball machine coming out by Jaws. I'm really excited to be able to play it next week at CES. You'll get some more details about that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of content creators that are showing that. Definitely there's no exclusivity that I have to be able to be the first to show you things, but I am excited to do that. While we're at CES, we're probably going to show a lot of other fun things that are unrelated. I think I'm going to be making a lot of shorts, anything cool and exciting that I see at CES that I want to grab and just talk for 15 seconds or a minute. I'll be doing that, showing you that content as well. That's a lot to take in. I say that a lot at work, so I said that. It's a lot to take in, so let's get into our next topic. We're jumping right into it. I love you guys in the chat, but I'm going to talk to you after this content is over because, again, there's some people that don't like the super 2-hour long streams, and I'm constantly stuttering, and I'm saying oohs and ahs, and I'm interrupting video. So get to the point, Justin. Get to the point, and then chill and chat afterwards. So I'm going to show you the next thing. So I bought, let's see, end scene. Let's take a sip. Calm down, everybody. Welcome to Console Kits Podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how I bought, can you believe, an Arcade1up Deluxe HS5 Street Fighter. Now, the reason why I bought it is because 19K Fox gave me FOMO. If you think that content creators out there don't provide FOMO, I'm here to tell you specifically that a good friend of mine sent me a link on eBay. It says, would you buy a Street Fighter Deluxe for $260 and take the chance that this open box is going to be in poor condition or great condition? Now, you probably saw the video. Hit one in the chat if you did. Did you see the video from 19K Fox where he showed, is it a scam? Well, guess what? That guy sent me the link and tried to get me in on the scam of buying the Arcade1up Street Fighter Deluxe for only $260. With tax is about $280 out the door, free shipping. And you guys probably want to know, what about me? When I bought it, did mine come destroyed? Did 19K Fox get lucky? But for me, it's horrible? What happened? Well, I'm pleased to tell you that in my situation, it's in perfect condition. So from eBay, there you go. It is beautiful. So let me back up a little bit. Well, let's start at the top. I'm going to do a quick review. We're going to do a quick live review of this machine. I'm going to come in here. So here it is. Starting from the top, you can expect reverse printed artwork that will look great on the Deluxe HS5. This may be, in fact, the peak of Arcade1up. The best Arcade1up cabinet that has ever come out, that I've ever reviewed, is right here. Now, it's similar to the Yoga Flame, and you can do comparisons. Be like, this is just like the Yoga Flame. Sure. But this one is better. So the artwork flows between the screen and the panel. Then you got the little part that comes out. It doesn't look like urine. You can see the coloring is slightly different. See how I put my finger down? And the moment I put my finger down, it almost like looks the same. It's that close. It's actually pretty good. So the actual control panel is flat. They got a little felt in there where you put the screw in. And in the chat, if you've got this, James, you talk about it in the chat. You tell me how great it is as well. I'd love to hear it. It doesn't smell like urine. It doesn't smell like urine toxin. So I really like how it's flat. The screws are sunken in. There is no deck protector. You don't need one. On this one, it has a little sticker on the top explaining that. I love how the colors flow. It's got the BOE monitor in it. Come on. It's got the same set of games as the Yoga Flame. Again, going back to that marquee. Beautiful. Looks great. I mean, you can see it on the camera. Looks as good as in person. It's got speakers. I would say not the best speakers, but not the worst. Like, when it turns on, I've heard bassier from Arcade1up, but it's not tinny like some Arcade1ups. It's got the screw caps. And because this game is all black with the artwork, the screw caps are perfect. They blend right in. It doesn't cover any other artwork. Of course, because it's a deluxe, it does have that seam in it, but it's not too bad. Maybe you wish that was better. I understand it, but that's something I don't think we can overcome. It's got the coin door. Maybe you wish it had a lit coin door. That would be better. But for $399 or $268, this is pretty good. And it's got the Arcade1up logo right there. You almost can't see it when you're standing there. And it has another Arcade1up logo that's kind of blended into the Street Fighter. I'm telling you guys, this is not... And I'm going to change my mind here. Like, I was sitting here wondering, this whole XL thing, So, I'll tell you straight up. I was at Best Buy, and I saw the Deluxe. And Best Buy, maybe because it's a big store, I don't know how to explain it, but at Best Buy, I was like, this thing looks thin, it looks small. I saw one that was returned. It was like a Paxman. I may have said Deluxe just a second ago. I meant I'm talking about the Deluxe. So I was at Best Buy, and I saw a Deluxe, and it was a Pac-Man, and it was being returned. And when I saw it, I was like, that looks horrible. It looks thin. It looks small. I don't think that would ever look good in my game room. And so that was kind of like, I'm not getting Deluxes. Now, there was a scenario that took place that I ended up buying a Deluxe. It's a long story. Still have it in box. I'm going to open it now. After getting the Street Fighter Deluxe, I'm like, yeah, the class of 1981 that I've had in box for several months, I think I'm going to keep. I thought like I'd be waiting for the XL, but it's a tough look. I'm sitting here going back and forth. Like, if you feel my pain, put some hearts in the chat. Who else here is fickle between the Deluxe and the XL? Hit a thumbs down if you don't know what I'm talking about. Or if you want to save some time, 0 if you disagree, 1 if you agree. Who else here is fickle of what's better between a Deluxe or an XL? So you can argue, sure, an XL is bigger. But the Deluxe is pretty tall. And the shape of the machine, I think, is pretty balanced. Now, this could be $268 talking. Like, I'm going like, oh, I spent $268 on this Deluxe, or $280 with tax. And when I put it together, I had a great experience assembling it. It was a fun time. It was almost nostalgic for me because it's been a while since I bought an Arcade1up. Doing the assembly, I was listening to podcasts while I was doing the assembly. And when I was all done, I put it together and I was like inspecting it going, there is nothing wrong with this machine. Now, of course, when I mean that, very specifically, I'm talking about two things. There was no damage to the machine. Everything was shipped. Everything worked great. I made some mistakes on the assembly, like the G panel I did backwards, and then, you know, I put on the coin door too early, so I don't know if anyone else has done that. So I had to kind of like switch it around. But it's okay. It's like sometimes we make mistakes when we assemble things. You go with it. You don't get frustrated. You're like, everyone, that happens to everyone. Just deal with those frustrations and move on, right? So I dealt with it, no big deal. And I even used a screwdriver. I was like, I'm taking my time. I'm enjoying this, you know? Just like old times. And so when I got it all set up, got it all stood up, and I'm in my basement room over there, and I plug it in, and it turns on. It's got the BOE. It's only 17-inch, but the ratio of that Deluxe, I'm like, for that price, it is better than 3/4 scale. And I'm sitting here going like, they perfected 3/4 scale. They did. If you go back to, some people love the riser. I think that Deluxe is better. I think it's better than the riser. It's clean. The Street Fighter Deluxe is the most like the original arcade than anything they've done. It was cheap enough. It's a cost reduction model. It's a cost reduction release. Like, I think they made the Deluxe to save money, to get that box smaller, to overall save money on the entire process of building and selling an Arcade1up. And I think the Deluxe is pretty nice. Now, I might also be saying that because I kind of don't think they're ever coming out with any XLs in 2024. That's a good possibility that all we'll ever see is Deluxe. So am I delusional? Am I just telling myself this because they're like, you can't like the thing you're never going to get? Does that make sense? Is it possible that I love the Deluxe because I think it's impossible to ever have what I actually want? And it would be really great. It'd be really great. It'd be really great to get an XL Street Fighter HS5, right? Like a pro version. Like, it's not perfect. Even the Deluxe is not perfect. You got buttons that aren't the greatest, but we've dealt with those buttons forever. The sticks are a little bit better. They put everything in there. The lit coin door, but for the price, okay, I'll add some LEDs myself, right? It's interesting. It's really interesting, and I'm kicking myself a little bit because 6 months ago, I was like, I'm not getting any Deluxes. Again, it's all 19K Fox's fault. Make sure you say that if you're going to join him on his stream, 19K Fox. I think we're all going to be together on B-Kong's stream later tonight, so I can rub it in his face. It's his fault. If he wouldn't have sent that leak, I wouldn't have bought it. But here it is, man. It's a good machine. The Street Fighter Deluxe is good. Call me a shill, but do you own one? Do you own one? If you're a hater in the chat, like Justin's shill, always been a chill. All right. Do you own a Deluxe? Have you played it? Have you actually looked at it for the price? Even $399 was like, for this? It's pretty good. Maybe it's too little too late. You could argue that. Maybe you go back in time and go, we should have got a Deluxe version like in 2019. You can say all that. You can say you hate it. You can say you're only going to buy real machines. It's come from something that I have real machines. They're right behind me. Maybe you don't believe me because I never point cameras at them and I never make content on it, but whatever. But for what it is, for the price, I can move it around my house. It's interesting. It's interesting. But now I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. So I'm going to pull up the chat. Let's do a chill and chat. We hit that 30 minutes. I'm going to go back in time a little bit, see how everyone's doing. We got JJ in the chat who's saying, hey, Justin, glad to see you doing live streams. Question, you might know the answer to if you buy a Zen table on one platform like Steam, can you use it on other like Epic? I wasn't sure. My understanding is no, but I'm not an expert. Like, you might want to ask more people. But my understanding is Stern, it's like saying I bought a movie from Apple. Can I watch it on Google? I think that's what it's like. So there's different platforms. It's like saying I bought a game from Switch. Can I play it on the Xbox? So there's a partnership. There's a partnership that happens between a game developer or even content like movie creators. There's a relationship or like an app. So let's say you're Netflix and your app is on Samsung and you sign up for Netflix on Samsung. Samsung gets a percentage of the sale. A percentage of the subscription, in fact. There's a partnership between the company Samsung and Netflix. If you go to Netflix.com, you bought it directly. And there's the weird workaround is you can watch Netflix on Samsung even though you're paying directly. But there is some type of like commission, attribution sharing between companies like that. With video games, it's even a little bit more strict because generally speaking, like the Steam platform is the Steam platform. That is their platform. They are the platform. And so they're working with other creators of content to sell games and they get a commission. And so, I don't know. Let me know in the chat. Do you guys know of any game provider that allows cross-platform gaming where you can purchase the game through one, partner, if you will, from their point of view, it's like a distributor partner, and play it on another one. I think they all want their fees. And I remember there being a thing where Zen was going to come out with a subscription, and the subscription would allow you to kind of do a cross. And if you think about it, if they did do it, it would be like your Disney Plus and your Netflix model, because you have a subscription and you can technically watch it anywhere. But the pay model, I think, is a little more strict. I don't know. Zen, it doesn't really matter. There's rumors that Zen, have you guys heard that? I was listening to a podcast. It was, what was it? It was not Straight Down the Middle, but it was a pinball podcast. I think it's Dennis and Zach. They have a pinball podcast together. It's the Pinball Show. And in the Pinball Show, they joke at the end. I don't know if it's a joke. They're like, well, Zen's going bankrupt anyway. He goes, well, at least that's the rumor. And so I had heard a rumor about Zen laying off people. Again, I don't know if that's a joke, but there's a rumor out there that maybe I don't fully understand the context that Zen's going bankrupt, but look into that, see if it's true. I wish YouTube had community notes that were live. They're like, community notes, everything that Justin is saying is incorrect. That's a false. That'd be really cool. Maybe one day with AI integrated, we'll get that. Okay, thanks, JJ, for the comment. Let's see. That back glass image on Jaws looks like something from Sharknado movie. I think what he's referring to is the Jaws pinball machine. The premium edition is not the movie art, so he kind of thinks it doesn't look as good. Although Sharknado pinball would be kind of cool. Danny Davis says that he got the Dragon's Lair cabinet build. It's a lot harder to play than he remembered. Holy crap. Yeah, I play it a little bit, and I'm just like, I don't think I'm going to invest the time to figure this out. Let's see. What else we got? The chill and chat. You violated copyright of Michael B. He'll sue you. There you go. Yeah, console fanboy. Very good. Shark still looks fake. Let's see. As a massive fan of stereoscopic 3D, I'm waiting for one day glasses-free 3D V-Pin to be a thing. So this is cool to hear about the 3D content being attached to Pinball Cab. Yeah, it's really cool. Like you're saying, it would be really cool to be able to play a full 3D experience with a virtual pinball. Like the coolest idea would be have like a V-Pin and there's sensors on your glasses or whatever, and there's like a camera pointing at you, and the entire game kind of changes based on your head moving around. Maybe we'll get that in 10 years. But any type of real-time 3D effect that's like face tracking would be really cool. But in the meantime, you want to integrate on a real mechanical machine 3D video. Yes, shark still looks fake. That'll be really cool. Bob, pretty good. Yeah, cool. The local Jaws comes with pink eye. That's a really good point. I don't think they want to be giving out. Wow, like when you go to the theater with 3D glasses, right? You know, they have to recycle the 3D glasses. Do they clean them, or do they just like let them sit there for a day and then like let the germs just kind of air out naturally? And then who gets the next pair? How does that work? I'm wondering about that, but that's a good point. I don't know if arcades want to risk the whole pink eye situation or germs sharing. That's interesting. Maybe. That would be a little tough, GT Brunick. So let's see. So you could probably tape the wedding ring to the mouth of the shark, although because it's so loud to play the game with the glass off, you'd have to probably keep the glass on and then tell your girlfriend, like, hey, you got to get to this mode so Jaws will come out of the water. And then Jaws comes out, and then there's the wedding ring right there. And then you got to quickly take off the glass and grab the ring and then hand it to her before she, like, ruins the mode and the Jaws goes back in. I don't know. It's a great idea, but I don't think it's actually going to work. Let's see. What else we got here? They're going to need a bigger boat. I heard that the voice of the shark that portrayed Jaws in the movie, they have it. They have the actual voice. Did they get the same voice actor? This might be right. Richard was probably like, so you're giving me $50,000 to give 1 hour of work? Yeah, I would love to know the details on that. Like, how does that work? I'm sure they do everything ahead of time. Do you hear him? He was doing one take, right? Like, I don't know. Did they just hand him something like, look, this is 5 minutes. Come in, we're going to sit you down, and we have a single paper. We just want you to read it. Just read it, line by line. Maybe they go one more time. Have a good day. Man, that would be cool. And would it be $50K, or would it be a percentage of sales? Like, you're going to get 3% of all sales on this game. I don't know how it works. Do they do hourly or a percentage? That's pretty cool. Let's see. The shark came in voice work. You got 80K. There we go. Yeah, Rob Schneider would be really cool. What else we got? Toxin is saying he didn't watch Jaws as a kid because he likes sleeping at night. Yeah, see, like we were talking about on the Stern premium machine. That's Brody. That's Brody on the artwork. That's right. Makes me want to like come back. It's really hard to like talk monologue basically and do the chat, so I'm just separating it. Let's see. There we go. So we're talking about this. Let's see. As long as it's Quint speech at the bottom of the boat, I'm happy. See? There we go. Toxin says, I don't think anyone in the area is going to have Jaws. Apparently, in a city as big as New York City, there isn't going to be a lot of pinball here. Yeah, you know what's interesting about that is I've been listening a lot to Kaneda pinball podcast. I think there's like some people that like really hate Kaneda, and then some people think that's great. I don't know really the history, but in the last month or so that I've been listening to it, he's straight to the point. It's actually kind of what inspired my show to be just like boom, 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 boom. Because he has these 20, 30-minute podcasts that are just like, I mean, he pre-edits and all of that, and that's the thing for sure, and it's audio only, so that's a completely different style. But he is meat and potatoes to the point. And so I was kind of reflecting on the content that I make, and I'm like, whoa, I'm like super long-winded. Okay, I need to work on that. So, but I know a lot of you wouldn't like it if I just stopped being live and stopped chatting, right? So that's why I was like, okay, for the first part of the show, I'll try to be a little bit more like to the point, and maybe some people are going to come in and just learn something in 5 minutes about Jaws that they think is cool, and then they're out. Or maybe they scrub forward to when I'm talking about I might even put a marker there for when I'm talking about the Street Fighter Deluxe. And then here we just kind of chill and chat, whatever. But anyway, he lives in New York, and he talks about, like, there's a lot of pinball machines in that he's been wanting to play that he still even hasn't played. Maybe it was like Bond's 60th, or I think it was even something more common than that. And it was like only recently maybe one of the places has a pretty common... Yeah, that's interesting. I went to a pinball place. No, that was in Seattle. I was thinking I went to one in New York. We were talking about going to one when I visited New York, but we didn't end up making it. It was on the other side of where we were. All right, anyway. Yeah, it could have been, Ben. Jaws could have been a ball trap. Yeah. I mean, they said it sucked. So maybe they could have come up with another idea. Maybe they did, and they just said, our next idea, whatever, it's the bash toy. We'll see. We'll see how it looks when we finally get it. Kong going to a Laker game tonight? Man, he went to Ventura yesterday. He's going to a Laker game. There we go. This is true, Ben. I mean, you don't see Shark for 80% of the movies, so why not make it where the game... So there was a couple ideas, and here's the thing. When you go with ideas, I want to say it shouldn't be the case that any of us, people that like any type of arcade, could be like, well, I have a better idea. Ideas are great, but execution is where it's at. Like, can you execute? What about all of the variables that come in with delivering it? They mentioned all, like, when they're trying to get supply chains, they're trying to get the different parts, they have to work with people that have a good lead time that kind of matches their production of when they're going to produce these units. So all of that they have to take into account. So again, ideas are great, but can you take those ideas and turn it into something that you can actually execute, and that people something that people would like? But I've heard a couple cool ideas like Bond Premium and LE. So I just have the Pro version, but the Premium one, there's a guy underwater, and it's like a little toy under a little transparent plastic that with lights under there. And there's a certain part of the game where it kind of moves around. It gives the impression that James Bond is underwater right there with like a henchman or something like that. And it's just this simple gimmick. And so I thought, like, again, this is an idea, and I'm sure everyone would like, not everyone, but I'm sure some people would like this idea, but could you even execute it? But the idea that Jaws is underwater, what they did was the fin sticks out, it's this chum line, and you hit it. Well, I think another idea would be you can see Jaws under the water. Now, whether that's like a lower play field or it's just there's a secondary section, kind of like AC/DC, where there's like that's a secondary play field. But my point is like a hole in the machine. I don't know, haunted house. There's like a lot of different games that have a secondary play field, but maybe it's not even a secondary play field. It's just every now and then it gets lit up so you can see it, and you can see the shark swimming in the water, and it has something to do with the game. The point is like, that is an idea, and that sounds cool. And maybe you're like, look, the shark is under the play field for most of the game. You see it every now and then, and when you do, it's this moment, a dun dun dun, whatever, you hear the music, whatever, he's under there, oh my God, now he's coming up. And then when you do see him, he is on the play field, and he does eat your ball, goes in, and then blows up under there. I don't know, something like that. The other thing that I heard about Jaws is when the Jaws pops out, it's not always Jaws, it sounds like. They're going to have like tons of sharks. So it's kind of like you're hunting for sharks, and the shark that you see, it could be like a tiger shark. It could be various types of sharks, just like in the movie where they caught a shark and they were debating whether they should cut it open, and they're like, no, the boy's going to come out, but it wasn't really Jaws yet. Like we call the main great white shark Jaws. It was like a different shark. So I think that'll be in the game where you're hunting for a different shark, and then eventually you get to the point where it is like the real shark. There you go, Toxin, baby shark. All right, so we got you capture it with a magnet. You capture it with a magnet, then you bash it till it explodes and kills the shark like the movie. Yeah, man. Could work. Bob Oif, great guy. I met him, I think 2 times, maybe 2 times. Chicago. Was it just the one time? No, 2 times because you came to Des Moines that one time for the auction. That was pretty cool. Super chat, $5, appreciate it. $4.99. He says, ramp with the shark eating the ball, being a ball lock would have been cool. Yeah, that would have been cool. That's also something that maybe we'll see it later tonight, again, on Stern Pinball's YouTube. There's going to be live gameplay. Not live gameplay. I think it's like a premiere. So it's all pre-edited. That's going to show the gameplay of Jaws. And what they've yet to reveal or show, and maybe it's lacking, is how ball lock even works. So there is multi-ball. There's likely I think I saw a text that says ball lock, but where does the ball, does it physically lock? I was listening to Dennis and Zach on the pinball show. Dennis was thinking that the mini flipper actually holds the ball, and that's a mini ball lock. But I've also heard some people say, ooh, you don't want to do that because then the solenoid is going to be, the coil is going to be like fully connected for a long period of time and it can easily burn out. And well, I guess they could meet that challenge a different way. Maybe it's a special, like a special solenoid that can be open and closed differently. Like basically you can stay in a certain position for a long period of time and the coil's not actually activated. Something grabs it and holds it or something and then releases the coil. I don't know, something like that. But it would be really cool if all of a sudden like they reveal like, oh, there is a physical ball lock. It's over here. You just couldn't see it. And you shoot it and it's up here and this is where the ball is being held. And then, they show it. That'd be cool. But as of now, I'm like, I don't know where it is. And so I kind of like that feature, especially if it's on a premium or LE. Like, you kind of want a ball lock. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Like, pros not having ball locks, that's happens, and that's understandable. Console Fanboy says that talking about Jaws, the premium is a lot better. Okay, so we're 47 into. Let's see if we can go forward and start getting into some of the chat that's related to Deluxe. Yeah, I'm starting to see it. So, trying to catch up here. Let's see. James, who I know is all into AI, he says, in all seriousness, Justin, a view of anything AI related that is awesome. I'll be dying for info. Yeah, man. I was thinking about it. Reach out to me, James. I'd love to do a show with you. We just talk about AI or something like that, because clearly all of your thumbnails are AI, and I love it. I think it's great. And I've heard you talk a little bit about it here and there. But yeah, I'd love to, maybe we could hit one in the chat if you'd love to hear. Hopefully it's okay for me to do this, James. I don't know if you like collaborating. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Anything at CES. Yeah, reach out to me on Messenger, man. We should collab if you're into it, man. That'd be a lot of fun. I enjoy your content, and I know you're serious about technology, and I love technology as well. Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's see. There we go. And James says, I knew it. Shills. Only Shills buy the Street Fighter Deluxe. Toxin was saying he already has the Big Blue. So getting into the Arcade1up topic. So I owned the Street Fighter Gen 1, and then later, which I still have, and then later I got the Big Blue. I later sold the Big Blue because I kind of, the Yoga Flame was starting to come out, and then I can't remember the timeline if I got the Yoga Flame. The Yoga Flame is the one machine that I've ever received by anybody for the purpose of a review from like Arcade1up. I've received handhelds or things like that, but Arcade1up has only ever sent me the Yoga Flame. And going back to that topic, if you don't know, like on that video, I was really troubled because I was like, okay, I've accepted. There's no NDA, nothing like that. I didn't sign anything, but they did send me that unit without me paying for it. And they didn't. This was David McIntosh. He sent me a message. He was like, hey, pick a machine, and you can for a review. Any machine that we have on our website right now, let me know, and I'll send it to you, and you make a review video. That was it. That was the entire conversation. I said, yeah, give me the Yoga Flame. He's like, sounds good. Next thing you know, it shows up. I don't even think he reached out to me ever again. Not most people that send me like a handheld to review or a cable or whatever it's been, or a chair, they're like constantly like, when are you going to have the review done? When are you going to have the review done? This Monday or Friday? Or, it's like constant is like, and I a lot of times tell them, I'm like, look, you can send me the unit if you want, but I don't make a lot of content and I don't do this full time. So you need to be okay with me maybe not delivering a video for like a full month. And some of them are like, no, I need this done next week. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'll see you later. But if you're willing to work with my situation, then we can make it work. Anyway, so they sent me the Yoga Flame. And so I channeled all of that feeling of like, okay, I got something. Check. My audio is cutting out. I received, my audio keeps cutting out. Okay. I received something without pay, and then, I'm afraid that I'm going to be biased, like have a ton of bias, and maybe there's no way to stop that. But what I did was I think it was about 3 weeks making that review, where I was like, okay, they basically are paying you to make a commercial in lieu of a free product. And so I was like, okay, then what I'll do is I'll spend a lot of time on making the content, a lot of time recording, a lot of time editing. So to me, it'll feel like I'm kind of paying back. So it's like I spent so much time on the review, it's like I did pay for it. Because it's cutting into an enormous amount of time. It's 3 full weekends, right? So Saturday and Sunday, the next Saturday, then Sunday, the next Saturday, and then Sunday. 6 days. I don't know about you, but would you give 6 days of your life for like something that's only worth $500? Maybe you would. Maybe you would. And then, putting out the content and then responding to messages and all of like that. So I enjoy the hobby. So yeah, I did that. But then it was like, I put out the review and, I think there was good reception. People saw the value of that review. They saw that I put a lot of time into it. Now, and I can't remember if I had the Big Blue or not, but I ended up through that selling the Big Blue, but I still have the Yoga Flame and I bought the Deluxe. And so that went through my mind, the Street Fighter Deluxe. Like, are you sure you want to buy the Street Fighter Deluxe? You have that machine, just not in, it's like you already have the phone and you're buying a different cover, like a case, but you got to pay full price for it. I was thinking about another way with Arcade1up coming out with new machines and they're only changing the skin or the shape of it. It's like Apple coming out. We have the iPhone 15. Now, the iPhone 17 is still the 15, but we changed the shape. It's like, come on, guys. You got to give us something new. So I guess we've just gotten accustomed to having new things. But the only good thing that I can say of having both the Yoga Flame and having the Street Fighter Deluxe, which I plan to keep for at least a while. Maybe I'll sell the Yoga Flame. I'm not sure. Or give it to a friend. Not sure. But I told my daughter, I was like, check this out. So I have the Yoga Flame, and now we have the Street Fighter Deluxe. So now we have 2 machines that are Street Fighter. So she has this really close friend that comes and spends the night, like slumber party, like every other week. And they're like really close. And they both like video games. And my daughter really likes Street Fighter. She loves just, playing Street Fighter. I was going to tell a quick story about why she likes Street Fighter. No, it's too long. So anyway, so she's into Street Fighter. She likes to play it. It's like the type of game that it's one of the only like retro arcade games that she probably is like, I love that game, right? Street Fighter 2. Because I introduced her to it in like 2018 when I got the original Arcade1up. So anyway, I said, hey, when your friend comes over, you guys can play Street Fighter 2 together, except this time you guys can be on different machines, maybe even in different rooms. So let me know how we want to work that out. Like when she comes over, it'd be really fun if you guys play. Maybe it's next to each other, but now you don't have to be so close. You guys can be basically have your own screen. She's like, oh, that's really cool. We should try that. Anyway, so I don't know if that's the only value of having 2 machines is you can have people kind of compete on 2 separate machines. But we're gonna play with that just for at least a while, and then decide whether if I'm gonna get rid of one, I think it would be the Yoga Flame. It's a great game. It's a great unit. The Street Fighter Deluxe is just in a better case because otherwise it's like basically the same thing. Let's see. Let's go back to the chat. We're getting on to about an hour. Console Fanboy, he's saying that you don't really need the XLs. It's just going to move and topple even more. But you said the Deluxe slip and slides, though. So the coin door is no issue, you guys. You know what you can buy is a real coin door with a real mech, and not that much. And it's not that hard to install on the Arcade1up. Okay. Yeah, so it wouldn't have to, it couldn't be a full one, right? So, because now they got that panel that goes across. So it would just be just the actual plate. And you could probably make it open. Maybe you can open it up and like throw receipts in there. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Jason says, Little Alien says, the Deluxes are quite nice. The XL are 3 inches wider and a 19-inch monitor, which is nice. Arcade1up Deluxe. It's good enough. It's pretty good. Yeah, we got this deal. So what do you guys think so far? I just want to mention, so Console Fanboy has been in the chat. He promised in 2024 he would, look at that. Look at the party going on here. Mac Automatic. Let's see if I can get a thumbs up here. He promised in 2024 he would be polite. And so far, I think, so good. Like, there's no super chats from, don't you dare super chat, Console Fanboy. He's been kind. He doesn't chat too often. I don't think I ever seen him bring up Mortal Kombat. So far, so good. Let me know if you agree. And if you disagree, then he's out. Okay. You're on thin ice, Console Fanboy. Be kind. Okay. Yeah, so I think JJ is saying you're settling for something you don't really want. So here's the thing. So we were talking about this earlier, right? It's the Deluxe versus XL. So maybe, but that's the thing. I'm fickle. Maybe fickle's not the right word. I don't know what I don't know. So I've owned the Golden Tee Deluxe, the Golden Tee XL. But I don't have a Street Fighter XL. They don't make one. So I don't even know what if I would like it, right? So I'm settling for something that I do like compared to something that's in my imagination. I'm imagining that a Street Fighter 2 XL would be amazing. But there's technically no evidence that it will be amazing. The closest thing we have is the KI Pro, has the height, has the width, and then there's this that has the BOE, unlike the NBA Jam, which had what are they, the AOE monitor, like the 5x4 is not as good as the best on earth monitor. And so if, for example, there was like a perfect Street Fighter XL that was priced well, $599 or something like that, if they did make them available, then yeah, then maybe I would prefer that over the Deluxe. But what I can say is there's several Deluxes that do exist, and so far I think they are the best machines Arcade1up has ever come out with, because I think there's more flaws in the current XLs that are out there. The NBA Jam, you got to replace the monitor, right? The Golden Tee, you got to replace the monitor. If they can fix that and they can bring the price down, then you got something. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to see how it pairs out. I told my wife that, I showed you the video that's in the other room. My wife was like, that's going in this room, right? The game room. I'm like, yeah, once I film it. Because this room's just like fully unfinished. So filming in here with lights on, you kind of see a whole bunch of unfinished area. And I could do that, but it just looks, I don't know, it looks a little nicer with normal walls and carpet and all that. So anyway, I'm going to be moving it in here. So then I'm going to see how the Deluxes will fit with the other arcade 3/4 scales that I have, or next to the real arcades that I have, next to the pinball. Like, how does it size up? Can it fit? Can the Deluxe look good just from the point of view of looks? How much room does it take up? Various things like that. I don't think overall my opinion of the machine will change, but I'm just curious how it'll all fit into the game room. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Personally, I'm not saying Deluxes are bad, but I think the XLs are better. Yeah. Arcade1up is good for apartments and with people who have very limited space. Lots of people live in apartments and can't get huge machines. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So, did your wife approve this purchase? You're addicted. Kid, help, man. Technically, no. So I just bought it, and then I assembled it. She didn't say anything. Like, she's right there. I was building it, and then that's it. This particular machine that I bought for $280 had zero conversation with my wife. I just purchased it. She saw it when it came in. She didn't give me any dirty looks. She was getting the mail, and she was like, "Hey, how's it going? Hey, it was right there." She didn't say anything. And what I've heard from her, I told you guys this last week, right? I think I was on a show and I said something to her, and I was telling my wife it's really important. I was like, I need your opinion on, do you like? And I showed her a picture of Jaws Pro, and then I showed her a picture of Jaws Premium, and I said I'd love to get your opinion on these two different machines, right? So I'm going to show you one machine. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. I just want you to know. I just want to ask you, how do you think? I want your opinion on it, just on the looks. Do you like this artwork, or do you like this artwork? And what I was showing her was the Pro versus the Premium. And she said to me, and this is important, so listen up. She said, "I don't care." So, I mean, that's what she has to say about it. Anyway, so there's certain things, obviously, my wife does care about, but there's a whole bunch of things where she's just like, whatever. Like, literally, it doesn't matter. She doesn't care. Like, she doesn't care one way or another. I buy another Arcade1up. That's fine. I don't buy any more Arcade1ups. That's fine. All she wants is the credit card bill paid off every single month, which I've been doing. And then she can kind of get whatever she wants, and we're not in debt, which I've been doing. And she wants to eat popcorn with me every night. And there we go. That makes her happy. That's right. It's Fox time. So we got, super chat from Console Fanboy. I haven't read it yet, but if I don't like this, you're banned. Thank you so much for the super chat, Console Fanboy. He says, I used to want the XL, but don't think they're coming. Also, XLs will just move and shake way more. New slogan, Arcade1up Deluxe. It's good enough. Okay, that was fine. I think everyone agrees that was a fine. That's his opinion, and there was no meanness to it. So far so good. But you're on thin ice still. You're in this grace period, okay? And at the end of January, if the piece is still here, you're good. And we'll stop talking about that. And I won't even look at your comments funny. But you're in a grace period, buddy. Okay. There's a lot of great chats in here. I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of them. And, of course, our boy 19K Fox is coming up. Oh, wait, I do see something. Let's see if I got time. Hate to bother you. I want to offer a promotion for your channel viewers, followers, chats, chat box, etc. The price is lower than any other competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. Flexible and convenient orders. Managed panel element. Go away. Stop bugging me. Let's see. Add to block list. Do not come on my channel and spam me. Seriously. Okay. Thank you for the super chat. He says, here lies the body of Mary Lee. Died at the age of 103. For 14 years, she kept her virginity. Not a bad record for this vicinity. Okay, I don't know what that's about, but thank you so much for the donation, I guess. I read that, and I think that's the primary rules. It's not necessary for me to make any comment afterwards, but Jason, we all care about you, so they need Stern's Dukes of Hazzard table with a bunch of jumps for rants. That's funny. That is really good, man. That's actually pretty hilarious. Okay. What is the monitor you bought to replace the 19-inch Golden Tee? Let's see. Appreciate your comment here. Hey, Todd, if you're still in the chat, comment on the video and I can respond to you. I don't have it off of me, but also, you know what? If I were you, I would go ask 19K Fox, because I've ordered a lot of 19-inch monitors and I have them like on a desk and I just put PCs on them, but I never actually put them inside an Arcade1up. I did verify they could be swapped, but he literally in his arcade has 19-inch monitors in his machines. So I would go to him because he can give you the exact model that, and I think he even made videos on it that shows him putting a 19-inch monitor in his XLs. Yeah, on the Golden Tee. I bought it. Is it the Dell 1917? I know I bought the Dell 1917. So I have a few Dell 1917s, and I have the 2007. And all of them, like, I have another desk over here, and I just have a PC connected to them, and I play retro games on it. Because I was going to put it on, but, like, a lot of my friends in the retro gaming space, they play a lot of, like, Mister, and when I go hang out with them in New York, they just have, like, Dell 2007s straight up with a speaker underneath that monitor plugged into a Mister or a PC with a fight stick. And they're like, this is where it's at. So I wanted a setup like that. So I was debating whether or not to, get that monitor and put it in an Arcade1up. And so I bought them, but then they kind of got stuck like, well, this is actually really cool just having it like on a table. And then my plan was to put it in the Golden Tee, and then I decided to sell the Golden Tee because I started thinking maybe I don't even like the game Golden Tee. Oh, I see, buddy. I see. The quote was from, now I'm going to go back to that super chat because I didn't recognize the quote. What was it? What you said? It doesn't sound familiar. I mean, we watched that movie like 3 months ago, I want to say. But yeah, I may have to watch it again. Because like I had heard that the Jaws pinball leak was started to come out pretty heavy for a while now, maybe a year or so. But about 3 months ago, it started getting pretty heavy. And so I was talking to my wife, and I was like, I don't know how good the game is going to be, but every pinball movie theme that I buy, I watch that movie with my wife, and I'm like, it's a movie pinball theme. So we watched Godzilla before I bought Godzilla. We bought James Bond before I bought James Bond. We watched Jurassic Park monthly anyway, so there was no need for a special occasion on that. So we watched Jaws a while back. I've watched it several times. I've watched Back to the Future way more. But yeah, I even watched it 3 months ago, and I don't recognize that. Is it early in when they meet? Now I got to watch it again. I'll find out. Appreciate it. Now I get the point. I'm glad I stayed on for you to clarify that. Jaws is one of the movies where you see something new every time you watch it. Oh, is that right, Ben? Use your Mister on an OLED? Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. All right, cool, guys. Go watch 19K Fox. I'll see you guys in the next video.